Welcome to Fusion Theatre's reading of Ariel Dorfman's play, Death and the Maiden. Before we start, a brief word about Fusion Theatre. Fusion was co-founded by Eilin and myself, with a vision of combining classic theatre texts with classical music. To date, we have produced Jean-Paul Sartre's No Exit, Jean-Henri's Antigone, combined with music from Giuseppe Verdi, and The Dead by James Joyce, as well as various operatic concert evenings. In fact, we have one coming up next weekend, next Saturday, the 13th at 7:30 p.m. You can find the information on the Facebook page for Fusion Theatre. We would love for you to join us. In fact, we'd love for you to follow us and click on that Facebook page, or you can look us up online at the website, fusiontheatrenyc.com. And we hope you'll join us there, and in future events. We're going to open up comments page, chat box, something on Zoom, so you can hang around afterwards and ask questions for a few minutes if you'd like. And we look forward to seeing you then and there. So, to today's reading. Ariel Dorfman's play, Death and the Maiden, was written after the brutal reign of Augusto Pinochet in Chile, and in response to their Truth and Reconciliation Commission that took place afterwards to deal with the crimes and the brutal oppression that happened during that regime. It's a story of totalitarian governments, the damage that we inflicted to each other, and democracy. In fact, I have this great quote from Ariel Dorfman. It says, "It is my belief that democracy is strengthened by expressing for all to see the deep dramas, the sorrows, and the hopes that underlie the democracy's existence, and that it is in not hiding the damage that we have inflicted on ourselves that we avoid its repetition." It goes without saying that we are experiencing trauma all over the world, and we hope that this reflection on the damage that we do to each other and can do will indeed help us not to repeat. Please enjoy the reading.
Death and the Maiden, a play of 3 acts by Ariel Dorfman. The time is the present, and the place, a country that is probably Chile, but could be any country that has given itself a democratic government just after a long period of dictatorship. Cast of characters: Paulina Salas, Gerardo Escobar, her husband a lawyer, and Roberto Miranda, a doctor. Act 1, Scene 1. After midnight. The Escobar's beach house. A terrace and living dining room where dinner is laid out. On a sideboard is a cassette recorder and a lamp. A door from the terrace leading to a bedroom. Paulina is seated on the terrace in the moonlight. The sound of a car can be heard. She hurriedly stands up, looks out the window. The car brakes, its motor still running, the lights blasting her. She goes to the sideboard, takes out a gun. She hears Gerardo's voice.
"Are you sure you don't want to come in? Just one for the road." All right. Then we get together before I leave. I have to be back in town on Monday, so how about Sunday? My wife makes a margarita that will make your hair stand on end. I do really want you to know how much I appreciate. All right, okay. I see you on Sunday then. Paulina? Is that... What are you doing there like that? I'm sorry I took this long. It's just...
And who was that?
I had an accident.
Who was it?
Serious, but Paulina, I can't see a thing with the lights off. Oh, I'm sorry. Poor little love. He must have got cold dinner.
We can heat it up. As long as we've got something to celebrate, that is. You do have something to celebrate, Gerardo, don't you?
Well, that depends on you. Do you know what this is? This is the son of a bitch nail that gave me a flat. Do you know what any normal man does? When he has a flat, he goes to the trunk, he gets out the spare. That is, if the spare is in flat 2. That is, if his wife has remembered to fix the spare, right?
His wife. Always got to be the wife who has to fix
I
everything.
am not really in the mood
You
for
were supposed to
arguing.
fix
We had
the
already
spare.
agreed.
You were supposed to do it. I take care of the house and you take care of all the other
Don't
stuff.
want help, and then
The
afterwards
car, at least.
you complain.
I never complain.
This is an absurd discussion. What are we fighting about? I can't even remember what we're fighting about.
We're not fighting, darling. You accused me of not fixing your spare,
My spare.
and I told you quite reasonably that I look after everything in
Hold
the
it right there. Let's be clear this thing. Let's clear this thing up once and for all. That you didn't fix the spare. Our spare, that is open to discussion. There's one other little matter. The jack.
What, Jack?
Right. What jack? Where do you put the car jack? You know, the jack to lift up the car.
You need a car to hold up the car.
What the hell did you do with the jack?
I gave it to Mother.
To your mother. You gave it to your mother.
Loaned it. Yes,
And may I ask why?
you may, because she needed it.
As far as of course, I'm just, baby, you just can't do this sort of thing.
Mom was driving down south and really needed it.
Oh, yeah, well, I can go fuck myself.
No.
Yes, I got a telegram. I had to leave for the city immediately to see the president in what is the most important meeting of my whole life. And the son of a bitch nail is lying in wait for me. But fortunately not on the way there. There I was, without a spare, without a jack on the goddamn road.
I knew that you'd find somebody to help you out. Was she pretty, at least? Sexy?
I already said he was a man.
You said nothing of the kind.
Why do you always have to suppose there is a woman?
Why, indeed? I just can't imagine why. Nice. The man who stopped on the side of the
great
road.
guy. It's lucky for me that he stopped.
You see. I don't know how you do it. But you always manage to fix things up so that everything turns out right for you. While Mom, you can be sure that if she had a flat, some weird person was going to stop, and you know how Mom attracts the craziest of
Now,
people.
you can't imagine how ecstatic it makes me feel to think of your mother exploring the South with my jack, free of all worries, while I had to stand there for hours.
No exaggerating now.
45 minutes, but it was exactly 45 minutes. The cars passed by as if I didn't exist. You know what I began to do? I began to wave my arms around like a windmill just to see if I could attract any attention. We had forgotten what solidarity is in this country. Lucky for me, this man, Roberto Miranda, I invited him for a drink.
I heard you.
How is Sunday?
Sunday is fine.
As we're going back on Monday, I mean, at least I am, and I thought you might want to come with me. Shorten the holidays.
So, the president named you.
He named me.
The peak of your career.
Well, I wouldn't call it the peak. After all, I am the youngest of the men that he named, right?
Right. When you're a minister for justice in a few years' time, that will be the
That
peak.
does not depend on me.
Did you tell him that?
Who?
Your good Samaritan.
Oh, you mean Roberto Miranda? But I hardly know the man. Besides, no, I have not decided if I should do it yet.
You've decided.
No, I said I needed to answer. I would give him an answer tomorrow. I feel extremely honored, but I needed a little time.
The president. You said that to the president.
To the president. I need time to think it over.
I don't see what you have to think over. You've made your decision, Gerardo. You know you have. It's what you've been working toward all these years. Why pretend that you need
Because
time
first, you have to say yes.
Well then, yes.
That is not the yes I need.
It's the only yes I've got.
I have heard others. If I were to accept, I must know that I can count on you, that you don't feel, if you were to have a relapse, it could leave me in a...
Vulnerable. Yes. It could leave you vulnerable. Stripped. You'd have to take care of me all over again.
Now that is unfair. Wait, are you criticizing me for taking care of you?
And that's what you told the president. That your wife might have problems with her head and you don't know whether you can...
No, nobody knows. Not even your mother knows.
There are people who know.
I am not talking about those sort of people. Nobody in the new government knows, because I'm talking about the fact that we never made it public, because we never denounced the things that
Only if the result was death, huh?
Paulina, I'm sorry. What is
the
it?
commission you're named to, doesn't it only investigate the cases that ended in death?
It is appointed to investigate human rights violations that end in death or the presumption of death, yes.
Only the most serious cases, huh?
Well, the idea is that if we can throw light on the most serious cases, the other abuses will come to light as well.
Only the most serious.
Okay. Let us say the cases that are beyond repair, let's say repair.
Beyond repair. Irreparable, huh?
I don't like to talk about this, Paulina.
I don't like to talk about it either.
But we are going to have to talk about it, won't we, you and I? I mean, I'm going to spend the next few months listening to the evidence, interviewing relatives, eyewitnesses, survivors, and each time I come home, well, I mean, you don't want me to keep everything to myself, do you? And what if you... What if you knew how much I love you and how much it still hurts me?
Yes. 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 Is that the yes that you wanted?
Yes, that's the yes I wanted.
Find out what happened. Find out everything. Promise me that you'll find everything.
Everything we can. I will go as far as we're
allowed.
Limited. Let's say that we are limited. But there is so much that we can do. We will publish our conclusions. There'll be an official report. What happened will be established objectively so that no one would be able to deny it. And that our country will never again have to live through the excesses that...
And then you hear the relatives of the victims. You denounce the crimes. What happens to the criminals?
Well, that depends on the judges. The courts receive a copy of the evidence and the judges proceed from there to...
The judges? The same judges who never intervened to save one life in 17 years of dictatorship? Who never accepted a single habeas corpus ever? Judge Peralta, who told that poor woman who had come to ask for her missing husband that the man had probably grown tired of her and run off with some other woman. That judge, what did you call him? A judge?
Paulina, that's enough. Baby. My babies. Shh. You see, what would have happened if you had the flat, huh? You there on the road with the cars passing and the lights screaming by like a train. And did you think what could have happened to you if you found yourself alone on the road in the middle of the night like that?
Someone would have stopped. Probably that same Miranda.
Probably. Not everybody is a son of a bitch.
No, not everybody.
I invited him for a drink on Sunday. What do you think?
Sunday's fine. I was frightened. I heard the car, and when I looked, it wasn't yours.
But there was no danger, Paulina.
No. Gerardo, you already said yes to the president, didn't you? The truth, Gerardo, are you going to start your work on the commission with a lie?
I didn't want to hurt you.
You told the president you accepted, didn't you? Before you asked me. Didn't you? I need the truth, Gerardo.
Yes. I told him I'd do it. Yes. I told him before I asked you.
Act 1, Scene 2. 1 hour later, nobody on stage. Dinner has been cleared. The sound of a car. Headlights light up the living room, are switched off. Car doors opened and closed. Someone knocks.
I'm telling you, Paulina, it's all right. Nothing's going to happen. All right, I'd be careful. I'm coming. I'm coming. Oh, oh, it's you. God, you scared the shit out of me.
I'm really sorry for this intrusion. I thought you'd be up celebrating.
Oh, sorry. You must excuse my No, please do come in. It's just that we haven't got used to it.
Used to it.
Oh, democracy. You know, someone knocks on your door in the middle of the night, and it's a friend, not
Not one of those bastards.
And my wife she's a bit nervous, and so you'll understand if she doesn't come out, and if we lower our voices a little.
Of course, it's my fault. I mean, I just thought that I would...
Sit down, please sit down.
Of course, I thought I'd stop by for a short visit to, just for a minute. I mean, no more than... But you must be asking yourself, why this sudden visit? Well, I was driving back to my beach house, and then...
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Would you like a drink? I mean, on Sunday you can have one of my wife's famous margaritas, but I do have some cognac from the duty free that you.
No, thanks. I have it. Well, a teensy-weensy bit. So I'm listening to the radio and in my car, and all of a sudden, it hits me. I hear your name on the news, the name of the president's chosen for his investigating commission, and they say Gerardo Escobar. And I say to myself, that sounds familiar, but where? Who? And I kept on going around in my head, and I finally reached my house, and I realized who it was. And I also remembered that we'd put your spare on the tire of the trunk, and tomorrow that you'd need it patched up, and that also, the truth is, do you want to know the truth?
I can't wait.
I thought to myself, this man is really doing something essential for the honor of our nation. And so the country can shut the door on the divisions and the hatreds of the past. And I thought this is the last weekend he's going to be free from worries for who knows how many months, because you're going to have to go up and down this country listening to thousands of people. And I mean, don't tell me.
I mean, that's certainly true, but I wouldn't go so
far.
So
I thought the least I could do is I could drive over and leave him his spare. And so as you won't have to go out for a taxi or for a tow truck. And I mean, who has a phone around here?
You're making me feel as if I'm...
No, I am telling you. And this is said straight from the heart. This commission is going to help us close an exceptionally painful chapter in our history. And I am here this weekend. I'm all alone, and we've all got to help out. So it may be a teensy-weensy gesture, but...
Oh, tomorrow would have been fine.
Oh, tomorrow. You managed to get your car, no spare, and then you have to set out and find me? No, my friend. Okay, and then I thought I might as well offer to fix it and then go with you tomorrow with my jack. I mean, which reminds me. I mean, what happened to your jack? Did you find out where did...
My wife, she loaned it to her mother.
To her mother?
You know women.
All too well. The last mystery. We are going to explore all the frontiers, my friend, and we will still have the unpredictable female soul. You know what Nietzsche once wrote, at least I think it was Nietzsche, that we can never entirely possess that female soul. Or maybe it wasn't him, though you can be sure that old Nietzsche would have said that if he found himself on a road weekend road without a jack.
And without a spare.
And without a spare, which clinches it. So I really must go with you, and we'll clean up the whole operation in one morning.
I feel like I am imposing.
No, I won't hear another word. Okay, I happen to like to help people. I'm a doctor, as I think I told you, didn't I? And don't get into your head, though, that I only help important people.
Oh, well, if you'd known what you were getting into, you would have stomped the accelerator to the floor, right?
Through the floor. No, seriously, it's no trouble at all. In fact, it's an honor. In fact, do you want to know the real truth? Look, that's why I came here tonight, to congratulate you and to tell you that you are exactly what this country needs, to help find out the truth.
No. What the country needs is justice. The country needs justice. But if we can determine at least a little part
That's
of the
just
truth,
what I was about to say. I mean, even if we can't put these people on trial, even if they're covered by this amnesty that they gave themselves, I mean, at least their names can be published.
no, the names have to be kept secret. The commission is not supposed to identify authors of crimes.
In this country, everything finally comes out in the open. Their children, their grandchildren. Is it true that you did this? What you said you did, what they're accusing you of? And they'll have to lie. They'll say it's slander, that's a communist conspiracy, some such nonsense. But the truth is written all over them. And their children, their very own children, will feel sorry for them. Disgust and sorrow. And it's not like putting them in jail, but it's...
Well, maybe someday.
Maybe if the citizens of this country get angry enough, maybe we can even revoke the amnesty.
Oh, no, you know that is not possible.
I'm for killing the whole bunch of them. But I can see that.
I hate to
That's
disagree
not-
with you, Roberto, but in my opinion, the death penalty has never solved any.
We're going to have to disagree, Gerardo. I mean, there are people who simply don't deserve to be alive. And what I was really getting at is that you are going to have quite a problem.
More than one. I mean, for starters, the army is going to fight the commission the whole way. They've already told the president that this is an insult and dangerous. It's dangerous for the new government to be opening old wounds. But the president went ahead anyway. I thank God. I mean, for a moment, I thought he was going to get cold feet. But we all know these people are waiting to jump on us the moment we make the slightest mistake.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's exactly my point. I mean, you said that the names wouldn't be known. I mean, published. I mean, when you... Maybe you're right. I mean, maybe we'll never find out who these people really were. I mean, they form a sort of...
A mafia.
A mafia, yes. I mean, a secret brotherhood. And nobody gives out names and they cover each other's backs. The armed forces aren't going to allow their men to give testimony to your commission. And if people call them in, they'll just ignore your summons. And they'll just say, fuck you. I mean, maybe you're right. I mean, maybe this thing about the children and the grandchildren is nothing but a fantasy. I mean, maybe not as easy as I thought, but that's what I was really getting at.
Well, it may not be that difficult either. I mean, the president told me that just between us, of course.
Of course.
You know, so the president told me that there are people who are ready to make statements so long as their confidentiality is guaranteed. And once people start talking, once the confessions begin, I mean, the names will pour out like water, like you said, in this country, we end up knowing everything.
I wish I could share your optimism. I'm afraid there are things that we'll never know.
Well, we are limited, but not that limited. At the very least, we can expect some sort of moral sanction that, after all, we cannot expect any justice from the courts.
God, I hope you're right. But it's getting late. Lord, it's 2 o'clock. Look, I'll be back to pick you up tomorrow morning. Okay, let's say how about 9?
No. Why don't you stay over? Unless you've got someone waiting for you back at your house.
Not a soul.
Well, if you're alone.
No, well, I'm not alone. I mean, my wife and kids have gone off to their mothers of all places, and as I hate to fly, I've got some patients that I need to.
Not at your beach house, you don't. So why don't you stay?
It's very kind of you, but I like being by myself. I mean, watching the waves, listening to music. Look, I came here to help, not to be a bother, and I'll be back tomorrow. Let's say.
I absolutely will not hear of it. You are staying. Well, you what? Half an hour away.
It's around 40 minutes by the coast road, but
Okay,
if
not
I
another
leave...
word. Paulina will be delighted. You will see. She will make us a beautiful breakfast.
Oh, okay, now that convinced me. Breakfast. I don't think we even have milk at our beach house. And the real truth is, I am incredibly tired.
So I wonder if there's anything else you might. I think a toothbrush is about the only thing I can't offer you.
The two things that you never share, my friend. One is your toothbrush.
Right.
Good night.
Paulina, love, the doctor who helped me out on the road, he's staying the night. Love, he's staying because tomorrow he's going to help me pick up the car. Are you listening?
Yes, my love.
He's a friend, okay? So don't be scared. Tomorrow you can make us a nice breakfast.
Act 1, Scene 3. A short time later, silence. Paulina comes into the living room. By the light of the moon, she can be seen going to the drawer and taking out the gun. She crosses to Roberto's bedroom. She goes in. We hear a confusing, muffled sound, followed by a cry, then silence. We see her dragging something in. As the scene continues, it can be seen that it is a body. She hoists the body onto a chair and ties it. She takes Roberto's car keys from his jacket and leaves the house. We hear the sound of Roberto's car. Headlights turn on and clearly reveal Roberto Miranda tied to a chair, unconscious and gagged. The car leaves. Darkness. Act 1, Scene 4. Before dawn. Roberto opens his eyes, tries to get up and realizes that he is tied. Paulina is sitting in front of him with her gun.
Good morning, doctor. Miranda, isn't it? Dr. Miranda. I had a chum from the university name of Miranda. Ana Maria Miranda. You wouldn't be related to the Mirandas of San Esteban, would you? She had quite a mind. A marvelous retentive memory. We used to call her our little encyclopedia. I have no idea what became of her. She probably finished her medical studies, became a doctor. She looked like you. I didn't get my diploma. I didn't get too far with my studies, Dr. Miranda. Let's see if you can guess why I didn't get my diploma. I'm sure it wouldn't take a colossal effort of the imagination on your part to guess why. Luckily, there was Gerardo. He was, well, I wouldn't exactly say he was waiting for me, but let's say he still loved me. So I never had to go back to the university. Lucky for me, because I felt, phobia wouldn't be the right word, a certain apprehension about medicine. I wasn't so sure about my chosen profession. But life is never over till it's over, as they say. That's why I'm wondering whether it might not be a good idea to sign up again, ask that I be readmitted. I read the other day that now that the military aren't in charge anymore, that the university has begun to allow students who were kicked out to apply for readmission. But here I am chatting away when I'm supposed to be making breakfast, aren't I? A nice breakfast. Now you like. Let's see. Ham sandwiches wasn't it? Ham sandwiches with mayonnaise. We haven't got mayonnaise, but we do have ham. Gerardo also likes ham. I'll get to know your other tastes. Sorry about the mayonnaise. I hope you don't mind that this must, for the moment, remain a monologue. You'll have your say, Doctor. You can be sure of that. I just don't want to remove this gag, you call it, don't you? At least not until Gerardo wakes up. But I should be getting him up. Did I tell you I phoned the garage from the payphone? They'll be here shortly. The real truth is that you look slightly bored. I took this out of your car. I took the liberty. What if we listen to some Schubert while I make breakfast? A nice breakfast, Doctor. Death and the Maiden. Do you know how long it is since I last listened to this quartet? If it's on the radio, I turn it off. I even try to go out, not to go out much. So Gerardo has all these social events he's got to attend, and if they ever name him minister, we're going to live running around shaking hands and smiling at perfect strangers. But I always pray they won't put on Schubert. One night we were dining with, they were extremely important people. And our hostess happened to put on Schubert, a piano sonata. And I thought, do I switch it off or do I leave? But my body decided for me. I felt extremely ill right then and there, and Gerardo had to take me home. So we left them there listening to their Schubert, and nobody knew what had made me ill. So I pray they won't play that anywhere I go, any Schubert at all. Strange, isn't it? When he used to be, and I would say, yes, I really would say he still is my favorite composer. Such a sad, noble sense of life. But I always promised myself a time would come to recover him, bring him back from the grave, so to speak. And just sitting here, listening to him with you, I know that I was right, that so many things are going to change from now on, right? To think I was on the verge of throwing out my whole Schubert collection, crazy. Isn't this quartet marvelous, my love? And now I'll be able to listen to my Schubert again, even go to a concert like we used to. Did you know that Schubert was homosexual? But of course you do. You're the one who kept repeating it over and over while you played Death and the Maiden. Is this the very cassette, Doctor? Or do you buy a new one every year to keep the sound pure? Good morning, my darling. Sorry, breakfast isn't ready yet.
Paulina, what is this? What is going on? What in the name of Roberto, Dr. Miranda?
Don't touch him.
What?
Don't touch him.
What the hell is going on here? What kind of madness is this?
Him.
Put the gun down.
It's him.
Who?
It's the doctor.
What doctor?
That doctor.
The
doctor who played Schubert.
The doctor who plays Schubert?
That doctor.
How do you know?
The voice.
But weren't you? No, you told me that all through those weeks, you were
blindfolded, yes, but I could still hear.
You're sick.
I'm not sick.
You're sick.
All right then, I'm sick, but I can be sick and recognize a voice. Besides, when we lose one of our faculties, the others compensate. They get sharper. Right, Dr. Miranda?
A vague memory of someone's voice is not proof of anything, Paulina. It is not incontrovertible evidence that you can...
I recognized it as soon as he came in here last night. The way he laughs, certain phrases he used.
But that is not...
It may be a teensy, wincy thing, but it's enough for me. During all those years, not an hour has passed it. I haven't heard it. That same voice next to me, next to my ears, that voice mixed with saliva. You think I'd forget a voice like his? Give her a bit more. This bitch can take a bit more. Give it to her. You sure, Doctor? What if the cunt dies on us? She's not even near fainting. Give it to her. Up another.
Paulina, I am asking you to give me the gun.
No.
Then while you pointed at me, there is no discussion possible.
On the contrary, as soon as I stop pointing it at you, all dialogue will automatically terminate. If I put down the gun, you'll use your strength to win the argument.
Paulina, I want you to know that what you are doing is going to have very serious consequences.
Serious, huh? Irreparable.
Yes, it could be irreparable. Dr. Miranda, I have to ask you forgiveness.
Don't you dare ask forgiveness from that piece of shit. Do you see that hand?
Untie him, Paulina.
No.
Then I will. Don't shoot the gun. Pauli, don't shoot that thing off again. Give me the gun. You can't do this.
When are you going to stop telling me what I can and can't do? You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. I did it.
You did this to this man whose only fault that we know of, the only thing that you can say in front of a judge. Yes. A judge, however corrupt, however venal, however cowardly, the only thing that you can accuse him of is stopping on the side of a road to help a stranger, to bring me home, and then to offer to help.
I forgot, the man from the garage will be here any minute.
What?
When I went to hide your Good Samaritan's car early this morning, I stopped at the public payphone and let them know we need them early. So you better get dressed. They must be about to arrive.
Please, Paulina, can we start being reasonable? Start acting as if this is...
You be reasonable. They never did anything to you.
Oh, they did things. Of course they did things, but we are not competing for some horror prize here. Let's try and be reasonable. Look, even if this man is the doctor of those terrible events, he isn't. There is no reason why he should be. But let's say that he is. Even in that case, what right do you have to bind him like this? Baby, look what you're doing, Paulina. Think of the consequences.
He's coming. Get dressed quick. It's the tow truck. The spare's outside. I also took his jack.
You're stealing his jack?
That way Mother can keep ours.
Have you thought that I could go to the police?
I doubt you do that. You believe too much in your own powers of persuasion. Besides, you know that if the police do show their noses here, I'll put a bullet straight through this man's head. You do know that, don't you? And then I'll put a gun in my mouth and pull the trigger.
Oh, my baby, why? You're unrecognizable. What happened to you? How can you talk this way?
Explain to my husband, Dr. Miranda, what you did to me so I would be this crazy.
Paulina, I want you to tell me exactly what you are going to do.
Not me. You and me. We're going to put him on trial, Gerardo. This doctor, right here, today. You and me. Or is your famous investigating commission going to do it?
Act 2, Scene 1. Midday. Roberto is still in the same position. Paulina sits with her back to him, looking out toward the sea.
And when they let me go, do you know where I went? I couldn't go home to my parents. They were so pro-military that at that time I had broken off all diplomatic relations with them. I see Mother only once in a long while. Isn't this bizarre? That I should be telling you all of this as if you were my confessor? when there are things I've never told Gerardo or my sister, certainly not my mother. She'd die if she knew what I've really got in my head. Whereas I can tell you exactly what I feel, what I felt when they let me go that night. You don't need me to describe what state I was in. You gave me a quite thorough inspection before I was released, didn't you? We're rather cozy here, aren't we? Like this. Like two old pensioners sitting on a bench in the sun. Hungry. Things aren't that bad. You'll just have to be patient until Gerardo comes. You hungry? You want to eat? I'll give you something to eat, sweet cunt. I'll give you something big and filling so you can forget you're hungry. You don't know anything about Gerardo, do you? I mean, you never knew a thing. I never breathed his name. Your colleagues, they'd ask me, of course. With that fat little lady, don't tell you haven't got somebody to fuck you, huh? Come on, just tell us who's been fucking you, little lady. But I never gave them Gerardo's name. Strange how things turn out. If I had mentioned Gerardo, he wouldn't have been named to any investigating commission. It would have been one of the names that some other lawyer was investigating. And I would be in front of that commission to tell them how I met Gerardo. In fact, I met him just after the military coup, helping people seek asylum in embassies, saving lives with Gerardo, smuggling people out of the country so they wouldn't be killed. I was wild and fearless, willing to do anything. I can't believe that I didn't have an ounce of fear in my whole body at that time. But I'm really getting off target. That night they let me go. Well, I went to Gerardo's house. I knocked on the door over and over, just like you did last night. And when Gerardo finally answered, he looked agitated. His hair was disheveled. How did it go? Was the flat easy to fix?
Paulina, you're going to listen to me.
Of course I'm going to listen to you. Haven't I always listened to you?
No, I want you to sit down and I want you to really listen to me. You know that I have spent a good part of my life defending the law. And if there was one thing that revolted me about the past regime...
You can call them fascists.
Don't interrupt. If something revolted me about them, it was the way they accused so many men and women, and then they forged evidence and ignored evidence and did not give them a chance to defend themselves. So even if this man committed genocide on a daily basis, he has the right to defend himself.
And I have no intention of denying him that right, Gerardo. I'll give you all the time you need to speak to your client in private. I was just waiting for you to come back, that's all. So we could begin this in an orderly, official fashion. You should know, Doctor, that everything you say will be recorded here.
Oh, Paulina, shut up. Let the man speak.
Water!
What?
He wants water, Gerardo. Nothing like good, fresh water. Eh, Doctor? Drinking your own piss.
Escobar, this is inexcusable. And I will never forgive you as long as I live.
Hold on. Stop right there, Doctor. Let's see if this thing is working. Ready. It's recording everything marvelously. We already have a statement about forgiveness. It is Dr. Miranda's opinion that it is inexcusable, that he would never forgive as long as he lives, tying somebody up for a few hours, holding that person without the right to speak for a few hours. Agreed? More?
I do not know you, madam. I have never seen you before in my life. But I can tell you this. You are extremely ill. Almost prototypically schizoid. But you, Escobar, you, sir, you are not ill. You're a lawyer, a defender of human rights, and a man who has been persecuted by the former military government, as I was myself. And your case is different. You are responsible. for what you do, and what you must do is untie me immediately. And I want you to know that every minute that passes makes you more and more an accomplice to this abuse, and that you will therefore have to pay the consequences.
Who are you threatening?
I wasn't.
Threatening, yes, you were. Let's get this clear, Doctor. Threat time is over. Out there, you bastards may still give the orders, but in here, for now, I am in command. Now, is that clear?
I've got to go to the bathroom.
Piss or shit.
My God, Paulina! Dr. Miranda, she has never spoken like this before in her life.
The doctor's used to this sort of language. Come on, Doctor. Front or rear?
I'm standing up.
Untie his legs, Gerardo. I'll take him.
Of course not. I will take him.
I'll do it. Don't look at me like that. It's not as if it's the first time he's going to take his instrument out in front of me, Gerardo. Come on, Doctor, up. I don't want you pissing all over my rug. Hurry up. Miranda, hurry up.
Ty, Paulina, this is intolerable. I must talk with you.
Who's stopping you?
Alone.
Why? The doctor used to discuss everything in my presence.
Pauli, please, don't be so difficult. I want to talk to you where we have some privacy. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to do, woman, with these insane acts?
I already told you. Put him on trial.
Put him on trial? What does that mean, put him on trial? We can't use their methods. We are different. To seek vengeance like this is just not...
This is not vengeance. I am giving him all the guarantees he'll never get to me. Not one. Him and his colleagues.
Oh, and his colleagues. Are you going to kidnap them too and tie them up and bring them
I'd
here?
have to know their names for that, wouldn't I?
And then you're going to what? You're going to...
Kill them. Kill him. As he didn't kill me, I think it would not be fair for me to kill him.
Oh, well, that is good to know, Paulina. Because you would have to kill me too. I'm warning you that if you intend to kill him, you're going to have to kill me first.
Would you calm down? I haven't the slightest intention of killing him, and certainly not you. You don't believe me, as usual.
But then, what are you going to do to him? With him? You're going to what? And all this because 15 years ago, someone...
Someone what? What did they do to me? Gerardo, say it. You never wanted to say it. Say it now. They?
Well, if you didn't say it, how was I going to?
Say it now.
I only know what you told me that first night.
They? Tell me. Tell me.
They tortured you. Now you say it.
They tortured me. And what else? What else did they do to me, Gerardo?
They raped you.
How many times?
More than once.
How many times?
You never said. I didn't count. You said.
It's not true.
What's not true?
That I didn't count. I always kept count. I know how many times. And that night, Gerardo, when I came to you, when I told you, when I started to tell you, what did you swear you'd do to them when you found them? Someday, my love, we're going to put these bastards on trial. Your eyes will be able to rove. I remember the exact phrase because it sounded poetic. Your eyes will be able to rove over each one of their faces while they listen to your story. We'll do it. You'll see we will. So now, darling, who do I go to now?
That was 15 15 years ago.
Tell me, who's supposed to listen to my accusations against this doctor? Who, Gerardo? Your commission?
My commission? What commission? Thanks to you, we may not even have a commission. We may not be able to investigate all the other crimes. I'm going to have to resign.
Always so melodramatic. Your brow gets all furrowed up with wrinkles that make you look 10 years older. And then people will see your photograph in the newspaper and they won't believe you're the youngest person on the commission.
Are you deaf? I just told you I'm going to have to resign.
I don't see why.
You don't see why. All the rest of the country will see why. Especially those people who don't want any kind of investigation into the past, they will see why. A member of the president's own commission who should be showing exemplary signs of moderation and equanimity.
We're going to suffer, Kate, from so much equanimity.
No, and objectivity, that this very person has allowed an innocent human being to be bound and tormented in his own house. Do you know how the newspapers that serve the dictatorship, do you know how they will use this episode to undermine, perhaps even destroy the commission? Do you want them back in power? You want to scare them so they come back and make sure we cannot harm them? Do you want the times back when those people decided your life and our life and when we die and when? Because if that's what you want, that's what you're going to have. Free the man, Paulina. Apologize for your mistake and free him. I have spoken to him. Politically, he seems to be a man that we can trust.
My little man, you do fall for every trick in the book, don't you? Gerardo, you have my promise, as solemn as it can be, that this private trial will not affect you or the commission. Do you really think I'd do anything to trouble the commission? Stop you from finding out where the bodies of the missing prisoners are, how people were executed, where they're buried? But the members of the commission only deal with the dead, with those who can't speak. And I can speak. It's been years since I murmured even a word. I haven't opened my mouth to even whisper a breath of what I'm thinking. Years living in terror of my own, but I'm not dead. I thought I was, but I'm not, and I can't speak, damn it. So for God's sake, let me have my say. And you go ahead with your commission, and believe me when I tell you, none of this is going to be made public.
Even in that case, I have to resign, no matter what, and the sooner the better.
You'd have to resign, even if nobody knew about this.
Yes.
Because of your mad wife, who is mad because she stayed silent and is now bad because she speaks.
Among other reasons, yes, that's so. If the truth still matters to you.
The real truth. Huh? Could you wait a sec? Hey, don't like our hospitality. Want to leave so soon, bitch? You're not going to have such a good time outside as you're having with me, sweetie. Tell me you miss me. At least tell me that. It's not only the voice I recognize, Gerardo. I also recognize the skin and the smell. I recognize his skin, Gerardo. Suppose I was able to prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that this doctor of yours is guilty. Would you want me to set him free anyway?
Yes. If he's guilty, all the more reason to set him free. And don't look at me like that. Imagine if everyone behaved like you did. You satisfy your own personal passion. You punish on your own, while all the other people in this country, with scores of other problems they finally have a chance to address, solve some of them. Well, all those people can go screw themselves. The whole return to democracy can go screw itself.
Nobody is going to get screwed. Nobody is even going to know.
Yeah, the only way to make sure that is absolutely true is to kill him, in which case you are going to get screwed and I'm going to be screwed along with you. Let him go, Paulina, for the sake of the country, for our own good.
And me, what I need. Look at me. Look at me.
Yes, look at you, love. You're still a prisoner. You stayed behind there with them in that basement room, locked for 15 years. You've done nothing with your life. Not a thing. Look at you. Just when we have the chance to start over again, you go back, you open all these old wounds. Isn't it time that we...
Forget. You're asking me to forget.
Free yourself from them, Paulina. That is what I'm asking.
And let him loose so he can come back in a few years' time.
No, let him loose so he never comes back again.
And we see him at the valley and we smile at him and he introduces his lovely wife to us and we smile and we all shake hands and we
no need to smile at him. No need to smile at him, but basically, yes, that is what we have to do. But then we start to live. Yes?
Look, Gerardo, I suggest we reach a compromise.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Compromise, an agreement, a negotiation. Everything in this country is done by consensus, isn't it? Isn't that what this transition is all about? They let us have a democracy, but they keep control of the economy and the armed forces. The commission can investigate the crimes, but nobody is punished for them. There's freedom to say anything you want as long as you don't say everything you want. So you can see that I'm not that irresponsible or emotional or sick. I propose that we reach an agreement. You want that man freed without bodily harm, and I want. Would you like to know what I want?
I would love to know what you want.
When I heard his voice last night, the first thought that rushed through my head, what I've been thinking all these years when you catch me with the look that you said was abstract, fleeting, right? You know what I was thinking? Doing to them systematically, minute by minute, instrument by instrument, what they did to me, specifically to him, to the doctor. Because the others were so vulgar, but he would play Schubert. He would talk about science. He even quoted Nietzsche to me once.
Nietzsche?
I was horrified at myself that I should have so much hatred inside me, but it was the only way to fall asleep at night. The only way of going out with you to cocktail parties, in spite of the fact that I couldn't help asking myself if one of the people there wasn't perhaps not exact same man, but one of those people might, and so as to not go completely off my rocker and be able to deliver that Tavelli smile you say I'm going to have to continue to deliver. Well, I would imagine pushing their head into a bucket of their own shit, or electricity, or when we would be making love and I could feel the possibility of an orgasm building, the very idea of currents going through my body would remind me, and then I had to fake it so you wouldn't know what I was thinking. So you wouldn't feel that it was your failure, Gerardo.
My love.
So when I heard his voice, I thought, the only thing I want is to have him raped. Have someone fuck him. That's what I thought, that he should know just once what it is to. And as I can't rape, I thought it was a sentence that you would have to carry out.
No, don't go on, Paulina.
Then I told myself it would be difficult for you to collaborate in this scheme. After all, you do need a certain degree of enthusiasm to...
Stop it! Stop,
I asked myself if we couldn't use a broom. Yes, a broom, Gerardo, a broomstick. But I began to realize that wasn't really what I wanted, something that physical. And you know what conclusion I came to? The only thing I really want, I want him to confess. I want him to sit in front of that cassette recorder and tell me what he did. not just to me, everything to everybody, and have him write it out with his own handwriting and sign it, and I would keep a copy forever with all that information, the names and the data, all the details. That's what I want.
He confesses, and you will let him go.
I let him go.
And you need nothing more from him.
Not a thing. With Miranda's confession in my hand, you'd be safe. You could still be on the commission. And he wouldn't dare send his thugs to harm us, because he'd know that if they harm came to me or to you, his confession would be all over the newspapers the next day.
And you expect me to believe that you're going to let him go after he confessed? And you expect him to believe that you won't blow his brains out after he's confessed?
I don't see that either of the two of you have an alternative. Look, Gerardo, you need to make this sort of scum afraid. Tell him I hid the car because I'm getting ready to kill him. That the only way to dissuade me is for him to confess. Tell him that nobody knows he came here last night, that nobody can ever find him. For his sake, I hope you can convince him.
But I have to convince him.
I'd say it's a lot more pleasant than having to fuck him.
Well, there is a problem, Paulina, that you may not have thought of. So what if he has nothing to confess?
Tell him if he doesn't confess, I'll kill him.
No, but what if he is not guilty?
I'm in no hurry. I can wait for a month for him to confess.
Paulina, you are not listening to me. What can he confess if he is innocent?
If he's innocent, he's really screwed.
Act 2, Scene 2. Gerardo and Roberto sit at a table. Roberto still tied, but with his hands in front. Gerardo has just finished serving plates. Paulina watches from the terrace. She can see, but not hear them.
You're not hungry, Dr. Miranda?
Roberto. My name is Roberto. Please treat me with the same familiarity that you... Please.
I would rather speak to you as if you were a client, Dr. Miranda. That will help me out. And I think that you should eat something.
I'm not hungry. She's mad.
Bread?
She's mad, and you'll have to excuse me for saying this, Gerardo, but your wife,
Yes.
she...
Bread?
No, thanks. She should be receiving some sort of psychiatric treatment.
Yes, well, to put it brutally, Doctor, you are her therapy.
She's going to kill me.
Unless you confess, she will kill you.
But what can I confess? Okay, what can I confess if I don't know
Doctor,
what
you
it
should
is?
be aware that the secret police used some doctors in their as consultants in their
The
torture.
Medical Association gradually learned of these situations and looked into them
And she is
whenever
convinced that
possible.
you are the doctor who is present during, and you have no way, unless you
How
have...
could I deny it? How can I deny it? I'd have to change my voice to prove that this is not my voice. I mean, how can my voice is which damns me? And there's no other evidence. There's nothing.
And your skin. She mentioned your skin.
My skin.
And your smell.
The fantasies of a diseased mind. She could have latched onto any man who came through that door.
Yes, well, unfortunately, you came through the door.
Look, Gerardo, I am a quiet man. Anyone can see that I'm incapable of violence. Violence of any sort sickens me. I mean, I come to my beach house. I wander on the beach. I watch the waves. I hunt for pebbles. I listen to my music.
Schubert?
Schubert. And there's no reason to be ashamed. I also like Vivaldi and Mozart and Telemann. And I had the stupid idea of stopping for you. I mean, so I had the stupid idea of bringing that Schubert to the beach yesterday, and then I stopped for you. Gerardo, I am in this mess only because I felt sorry for some lunatic waving his arms next to some broken down car. Look, it's up to you to get me out of here.
Yes, I know.
And my ankles hurt and my hands and my back. I mean, couldn't you untie me just a little?
Roberto, I want to be honest with you. There is only one way to save your life. I think we have to indulge her.
Indulge her.
Humor, placate her, so she feels that you are willing to cooperate.
Well, I don't see how I can cooperate, given my rather peculiar
Indulge her. Make her believe that you are the...
Make her believe that I did this thing, that she...
Yes, she
No.
promised me that if you confessed, she would be ready to let you go.
I don't have anything to confess.
Well, I think you're going to have to invent something then. Because the only way she's going to pardon you is if you
She's got nothing to pardon me for. I did nothing, and there's nothing to confess. Okay, do you understand? 1 second. There is nothing to confess. Okay, instead of, she's got nothing to pardon me for. Do you understand? Instead of proposing some dishonorable solution, you should be out there convincing this madwoman of yours to cease this criminal behavior before she ruins your career and ends up in jail or in an insane asylum. A sane asylum. You tell her that. Or can't you impose a little order in your own house?
Roberto, I don't think this is very good.
Any trouble, darling?
No trouble.
I just saw you a bit agitated. Well, I see you both finished your soup. No one can say I'm not a good cook. Not an ideal housewife, eh? Maybe this ideal housewife should serve you a teensy-weensy cup of coffee, Oscar. So I believe the doctor here does not drink coffee. Doctor, I'm speaking to you. Didn't your mother ever teach you that when a woman...
Leave my mother out of this. I forbid you to mention my mother.
I'm sorry to have to agree with you. You're absolutely right. Your mother is not responsible for what you do. I don't know why men always insist on attacking the mother instead of... Why do they always say son of a bitch? Why the bitch instead of the father who taught them in the first place?
Paulina, I'm going to ask, please, would you do me the favor of leaving so that we can continue our conversation? Please, will you do me that favor?
That favor, and many more. I leave you men to fix the world. Oh, and if he wants to piss, darling, just snap your fingers and I'll come running.
She is absolutely insane.
That's why when crazy people have power, you have to indulge them. In her case, a confession.
But what can I confess? What confession?
No, maybe it liberates her from her phantoms. How can I know what goes on in the mind of someone who's been after the... But I think I understand the need of hers because it coincides with what we were talking about last night, about the whole country needs to put into words what has happened to us.
And you?
Me? What about me?
You. What are you going to do afterwards?
After what?
You believe her, don't you?
If I thought you were guilty, would I be trying so desperately hard to save your ass?
From the beginning, you've been conspiring with her. She plays the bad guy, you play the good guy.
What do you mean?
And you're playing roles. She's bad, you're good. And to see if you can get me to confess that way. And then once I've confessed, you're the one. You're not her. You're the one who's going to kill me. It's what any man would do, any real man. If they'd raped his wife, it's what I would do if someone raped my wife. You'd cut your balls off. So tell me, you think I'm that fucking doctor, don't you? Wait, where are you going? Wait.
I am going to get that gun and I am going to blow your fucking brains out. But first, You son of a bitch. I am going to follow your own advice and cut off your balls, because that's what a real man does, right? Real men blow people's brains out and fuck women while they're tied to cots. But me, no, I'm a stupid yellow faggot because I defend the son of a bitch who raped my wife and screwed up her life. What? How many times did you fuck her, huh? How many times, you bastard?
Gerardo, I did.
Gerardo is gone. I'm here. It's an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. That's our philosophy, right?
I was only joking. I was.
Why should I dirty my hands with you when there is someone who would take so much more pleasure in your pain and your death?
It's only a joke.
Why take that pleasure away from her? I call her right now so she can blow your fucking brains out herself.
Don't go. Don't call her.
I'm tired of being in the middle of you. In between the two of you. You reach an understanding with her. You do it.
Gerardo, I'm scared.
So am I.
Don't let her kill me. What are you going to say to her?
Truth. That you don't want to cooperate.
I need to know what it is that I did. You've got to understand that I don't know what I have to confess. Okay, if I were that man, I'd know every detail, but I don't know anything, right? So, if I make a mistake, then she'll think that I need your help. You'd have to tell me so that I can invent, based on what you tell me.
You're asking me to deceive my wife.
I'm asking you to save the life of an innocent man, Escobar. You do believe that I am innocent, don't you?
Do you really care that much what I believe?
Of course I do. I mean, she isn't the voice of civilization. You are. She isn't the voice of the President's Commission. You are.
No, she isn't. And who gives a fuck what she thinks, right? She's just a...
Wait. Where are you going? Wait. What are you going to say to her?
I'm going to tell her that you need to piss.
Act 3, Scene 1. Just before evening, Paulina and Gerardo are outside on the terrace. Roberto inside, still tied up. Gerardo has the cassette recorder.
I don't understand why.
I have to know.
Why?
Paulina, I love you. I need to hear it from your lips. It's not fair that after so many years, the person who tells me should be him. It would be intolerable.
Whereas if I tell you, it would be tolerable.
We're more tolerable than if he tells me first.
I told this to you already, Gerardo. Wasn't that enough?
15 years ago, you started to tell me, and then...
Did you expect me to keep on talking with that bitch there? That bitch that came out of your bedroom half naked, asking why you were taking so long, and you expected me to keep telling
Wasn't
you?
a bitch.
Did she know where I was? Of course she did. Bitch. Fuck a man whose woman wasn't exactly able to defend herself, huh?
We are not going to start this all over again, Paulina.
You're the one who started it.
How many times do I have to go? I spent 2 months trying to find you. She came by. She said she could help me. We had a couple of drinks. I mean, my God, I am human.
While I defended your life, while your name stayed inside me and never left my mouth. Ask him. Ask Miranda if I ever so much as whispered your name while you went...
You already forgave me. You forgave me. How many times do we have to go over this? We'll die from so much past, so much pain and resentment. Let's finish this conversation from so many years ago. Let's close the book once and for all and never speak of it again. Never again.
Forgive and forget, eh?
Forgive, yes. Forget, no. But forgive so that we can start to live again. There is so much to live for.
What did you want me to do? to talk in front of her, to tell you what they did to me in front of her, that I should. How many times?
How many times what?
How many times did you fuck her?
Paulina.
How many?
Baby.
How many times did you do it? How many? How many? I tell you, you tell me.
Paulina. Paulina. Do you want to destroy me? Is that what you want?
No.
Well, you are going to destroy me. You're going to end up in a world where I do not exist. I won't be here. Is that what you want?
I want to know how many times you fucked that bitch.
Don't do this to me, Paulina.
That wasn't the first night. Was it, Gerardo? You'd seen her before, right? The truth, Gerardo.
People can die from an excessive dose of the truth.
How many times, Gerardo? You tell me, I tell you.
Twice.
That night? What about before that night?
3 times.
What?
3 times.
She was that good. You liked her that much. And she liked it too. She must have really enjoyed it if she came back for more time after time
You
after time.
understand what you're doing to me?
Beyond repair, huh? Irreparable.
What more do you want from me? We survived a dictatorship. We survived. And now we are going to do to each other what those bastards didn't do out there, couldn't do to us. You want this? That's what you want.
No.
Do you want me to leave? Is that what you want? Do you want me to go out that door and never see you again? But good God, is that what you want?
No.
Well, that is what you're going to get. I am in your hands, baby. I have no defenses. I'm naked, like the day I was born. You want to treat me like you treat the man who did that?
No.
What you want me to?
I want you. I want you inside me alive. I want you making love to me without ghosts in bed, and I want you on the commission defending the truth. And I want you in the air I breathe, and I want you in my Schubert that I can start to listen to again.
Yes, Paulina, yes.
And I want us adopting a child. And I want to care for you minute by minute like you took care of me that night.
Never mention that bitch of a night again. If you go on and on about that night, you will kill me. Is that what you want?
No.
So are you going to tell me then?
Yes.
Everything.
Everything.
That is the way. That is the way. That is how we get out of this mess without hiding anything from each other. Together.
That's the way.
I am going to turn on the recorder. You don't mind, love, if I turn it on.
Turn it on.
Just as if you were sitting in front of the commission.
I don't know how to begin.
Begin with your name.
My maiden name is Paulina Salas. Now I am married to Gerardo Escobar, the lawyer, but at that time
Date?
April 6, 1975. I was single. I was walking along San Antonio Street.
Be as precise as you can.
At about 2:15 in the afternoon. And when I reached the corner of Huerfano Street, behind me I heard 3 men got out of a car. One of them stuck a gun in my back. "One word and we'll blow you away, miss." He spat the words into my ears. He had garlic on his breath. I was surprised that I should focus on such an insignificant detail. The lunch that he had eaten, began to think about how he was digesting the food with all the organs that I had been studying in anatomy class. Later on, I'd reproach myself. I would have lots of time to think. about it. Why didn't I call out? I knew that if that happened, you're supposed to scream so people can know who it is. Call out your name. I'm Paulina Salas. They're kidnapping me. If you don't scream out that first moment, you're already defeated. And I submitted too easily, obeyed them right away without even a gesture of defiance. All my life, I've always been much too obedient. The doctor wasn't among them. I met Miranda for the first time 3 days later. That's when I met Dr. Miranda. At first, I thought he would save me. He was so soft, so nice. After what the others had done to me. And then all of a sudden, I heard the Schubert Quartet. There is no way of describing what it means to hear that wonderful music in the darkness. When you haven't eaten for the last 3 days, when your body is falling apart, when
I would put on the music because it helped me in my role of the good guy, as they call it. I would put on Schubert because it was a way of gaining the prisoner's trust. But I also knew it was a way of alleviating their suffering. You've got to believe that it was a way of alleviating the prisoner's suffering. I mean, not only the music, but everything else that I did. That's how they approached me at first. The prisoners were dying on them, and they told me they needed someone to help care for them, someone that they could trust. And I've got a brother who was a member of the Secret Services, and you can pay the communists back for what they did to Dad, he told me one night. And my father had a heart attack the day the peasants took over his land at Las Toltecas, and the stroke paralyzed him. He lost his capacity for speech. Would spend hours simply looking at me, and his eyes would say, "Do something." But that's not why I accepted. The real truth was it was for humanitarian reasons. We're at war. And I thought that they want to kill me and my family. They want to install a totalitarian dictatorship. But even so, they still have a right to some form of medical attention. And it was slowly, almost without realizing how, that I became involved in the more delicate operations. They let me sit in on sessions where my role was to determine if the prisoners could take that much torture, that much electric current. And at first I told myself that it was a way of saving people's lives, and I did, because many times I told them without being true. I simply, to help the person who was being tortured, I'd order them to stop or the prisoner would die. But afterwards I began to, bit by bit, the virtue of what I was feeling turned into excitement. The mask of virtue fell off it, and this excitement that it hid from me what I was doing, the swamp of what. By the time Paulina Salas was brought in, it was already too late. And it's too late. A kind of brutalization took over my life. I began to really, truly like what I was doing. It became a game. My curiosity was partly morbid, partly scientific. How much can this woman take? More than the other one? How's her sex? How does her sex dry up when you put the current through her? Can she have an orgasm under these circumstances? She is entirely in your power. You can carry out all your fantasies. You can do what you want with her. Everything that they have forbidden you ever since your mother urgently whispered you were never to do. And you began to dream with her, with all those women. Come on, the doctor, he would say to me, you're not going to refuse free meat, are you? One of them would sort of taunt me. His name was, they called him Stud. A nickname, because I never found out his real name. They like it, Dr. Stud would say to me. All those bitches like it when you put on that sweet little music of yours, and they even get cozier. And he would say this in front of the women. In front of Paulina Salas, he would say it. And finally I but not one ever died on me. Not one of the women. Not one of them. And as far as I can remember, I took part in the interrogation of 94 prisoners, including Paulina Salas. It is all I can say. I ask forgiveness. Forgiveness. And I hope that this confession proves that I feel real repentance, and that just as the country is reaching reconciliation and peace, that we can continue. So too, I should be allowed to live the rest of my days with my terrible secret. There can be no worse punishment than that which is imposed upon me by the voice of my own conscience. A punishment, my conscience. Now what? You want me to sign?
First, write there that this is all done of your own free will, without any sort of pressure whatsoever.
But that's not true.
You want real pressure, doctor?
It's over. Paulina, it's over.
Almost over, yes.
So, don't you think that it is about time that we...
Right. We had an agreement. To think that I would spend hours here like this at the dawn, trying to make out the things left behind by the tide during the night, staring at those shapes, wondering what they were, if they would be dragged out to sea again, and now.
Paulina.
I'm glad to see you're still a man of principle. I thought I'd have to convince you now that you know that he really is guilty. I thought I'd have to convince you not to kill him.
Oh, I wouldn't stain my soul with someone like him.
Right. Go and get his car.
Can I leave you alone with him?
Wouldn't you say I'm old enough?
All right. I go and get the car. Take care of yourself.
You too. Oh, and don't forget to give him his jack back.
Don't forget to give him his Schubert. You have your own.
If you wouldn't mind, I would like to go to the bathroom. I suppose there's no reason why you shouldn't continue to accompany me.
Don't move, Doctor. There is still a little matter pending. It's going to be an incredibly beautiful day. You know the only thing that's missing now, Doctor? The one thing that I need to make this day really, truly perfect? To kill you. So I can listen to my Schubert without thinking that you'll also be listening to it, soiling my day and my Schubert and my country and my husband. That's
Madam,
what I...
Your husband, he left here trusting you. Okay, you gave your word.
But when I gave my word, I still had a doubt, a teensy-weensy doubt that you were that man. Because Gerardo was right in his way. Hard proof. Well, I could have been mistaken. But I knew that if you confessed, and when I heard you, my last doubts vanished. Now that I know, now that you are that man, I could not live in peace with myself and let you live. You have 1 minute to pray, Doctor.
Don't do it. I'm innocent.
You've confessed.
That confession, ma'am, it's false.
What do you mean it's false?
I made it up. We made it up.
That seems quite true to me. Painfully familiar as far as I'm concerned.
Your husband told me what to write. Okay, I invented some of it. Some of it was what was invented by me, but most of it was what I got from you. Okay, from what I knew, he knew had happened to you. Okay, so you'd let me go. He convinced me that it was the only way that you would kill me, and I had to. I mean, you must know under pressure. I mean, what we say, anything, but I'm innocent. Okay, Mrs. Escobar, God in heaven knows that.
Do not invoke Doctor, God, Doctor, when you are so close to finding out whether he exists or not.
What?
Stud. Several times in your confession, you mentioned stud. He must have been a large man, muscular. He bit his fingernails, right? He bit his goddamn fingernails. Stud.
I never met anyone like the man that you're describing. I mean, the name given to me by your husband. I mean, everything that I says comes from what your husband helped me to invent. I mean, ask him when he comes back.
I don't need to ask him. I knew that he'd do that. I knew he'd use my words for your confession. That's the sort of person he is. He always thinks he's more intelligent than everybody else. He always thinks that he's got to save somebody. I don't blame him. That's why I love him. We lie to each other out of love. He deceived me for my own good. I deceived him for his own good. But I'm the one who came out on top in this, Doctor. I gave him the name Bud, Doctor. I gave him the wrong name to see if you would correct it, and you did correct it. You corrected the name Bud, and you substituted the name Stud. And if you were innocent...
Listen, I'm telling you that that's what your husband who... Listen, please listen. Okay, he must have thought that it was the name of a man that like you who would... I mean, I don't know why he would. Ask him why.
It's not the only correction you made. There were other lies.
What lies? What lies?
Small lies, small variations that I inserted in my story to Gerardo, and you corrected most of them. It turned out just as I planned. You were so scared that if you didn't get it right. But I'm not going to kill you because you're guilty, Doctor, but because you have not repented at all. I can only forgive someone who really repents, who stands up amongst those he has wronged and says, I did this, I did it, and I will never do it again.
What more do you want? You've got more than all the victims in this country will ever get. I mean, what more do you want?
The truth, Doctor. The truth, and I will let you go. Repent, and I will let you go. You have 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Time is running out. 7. Say it.
No, I won't. Because even if I confess, you'll never be satisfied. You're going to kill me anyway. So go ahead and kill me. I'm not going to let any sick woman treat me like this. If you want to kill me, do it. But you're killing an innocent man.
8.
Someone did something terrible, some terrible things to you, and now you're going to do terrible things to me, and then tomorrow someone else is going to do, and go on and on and on. I have children. I have 2 boys and a girl. And they're supposed to spend the next 15 years looking for you until they find you. And then
9.
Oh, Paulina, isn't it time that we stopped?
And why does it always have to be people like me who have to sacrifice? Why are we always the ones who make concessions when everything has to be something has to be conceded? Why always me who has to bite her tongue? Why? Well, not this time. This time, I am going to think about myself, about what I need. If only to do justice in one case, just one. What do we lose? What do we lose by killing one of them? What do we lose? What do we lose?
Act 3, Scene 2. A concert hall. An evening some months later. Gerardo and Paulina appear elegantly dressed. They sit down facing the mirror, their backs to the spectators, perhaps in 2 chairs or in 2 of the seats in the audience itself. Under the music, we can hear typical sounds of an audience during a concert. Throats clearing, an occasional cough, the ruffling of program notes, even some heavy breathing. When the music ends, Gerardo begins to applaud, and we can hear the applause growing from what is an invisible public. Paulina does not applaud. The applause begins to die down, and then we hear the habitual sounds that come from a concert hall when the first part of a program is over. More throat clearing, murmurs, bodies shuffling toward the foyer. They both begin to go out, greeting people, stopping to chat for an instant. They slowly distance themselves from their seats and advance along an imaginary foyer which is apparently full of spectators. We hear mutterings, etc. Gerardo begins to talk to members of the audience as if they were at the concert. His words can be heard above the murmurs of the public. Paulina slowly leaves him, going to one side where a small bar has been installed. Gerardo continues speaking with his audience until she returns.
Thank you so much. Well, yes, I am a bit tired, but it was worth it. I mean, we are very pleased with the final report of the commission. You know, people have been acting with enormous generosity, not a hint of a personal vendetta. I mean, I knew that our work would help in the process of healing for the country, but I was surprised that it would start on the very first day. An old woman came in to testify. I mean, the woman was so timid. She began to speak standing up. "Please sit down," the president of the commission said, and he stood up and he held a chair for her. She sat down and she began to sob. And she looked at us and she said, "This is the first time, sir," she said to us. Her husband had disappeared 14 years ago. She had spent thousands of hours petitioning, thousands of hours waiting. "This is the first time," she said, "in all these years that somebody asked me to sit down." It was the first time somebody had asked her to sit down. As for the murderers, well, I mean, even if we do not know or cannot reveal their names. Oh, Pauli, just in time. I see you later. Now that I finally have some free time, maybe we can have a couple of drinks at home. I mean, Paulina makes a margarita that will make your hair stand on end.
Meanwhile, Paulina has bought some candy, and as she pays, Roberto enters, under a light which has a faint phantasmagoric moonlight quality. He could be real, or he could be an illusion in Paulina's head. Paulina does not see him yet. A bell goes off to indicate that the concert is about to recommence. She returns to Gerardo's side. Roberto stays behind, watching Paulina and Gerardo from a distance. Gerardo and Paulina sit in their seats. Roberto goes to another seat, always looking at Paulina. Applause is heard when the imaginary musicians come on. The instruments are tested and tuned. Then Death and the Maiden begins. Gerardo looks at Paulina, who looks forward. He takes her hand and then also begins to look forward. After a few instants, she turns slowly and looks at Roberto. Their eyes interlock for a moment. Then she turns her head and faces the stage in the mirror. The lights go down while the music plays and plays and plays. Curtain.